Well, I hope everyone had a happy and safe new year. As we start into a new year, it looks like some of the old things are still hanging around. Government still shut down. On my Facebook, I've made the comment a couple times about Trump is playing Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and nobody's really said anything about it. But let me tell you how he's playing them. First of all, wall, fence, barrier, whatever you want to call it. They both were for a barrier, as well as was Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. If you want to cut hairs and define wall, fence, barrier, let's do it, because there is a difference. Yeah, he was saying wall, but potato, potato. It is a security uh, barrier, if that's what you want to call it. Um, so he already had the funding for this out of the omnibus spending bill for the military, and that was ear tagged as national security. If you don't think our border is national security, you're totally wrong. There was a police officer killed over the new year. As we try to celebrate and go in and start a new year, his family has changed forever. He was a legal, and I stress the word legal, immigrant. He was killed by an illegal who had already been arrested twice for DWI. The difference in a legal and a illegal immigrant is a legal immigrant goes through the processes that are put in place by law in order to enter this country and to become a citizen, and then that by being a citizen that affords you certain rights. The Bleeding Hearts have doled these rights out like chips at a poker table that aren't worth anything. And so I guess it's expected in a lot of places. The wall is national security, whatever you want to call it. And so he played them on that, just showing the American people how much they really care for the safety of this country. Every country in the world has immigration laws. They have some type of border protection. Let me tell you the border protection Mexico had. First of all, if you even stepped in there, probably a drug cartel would grab you. Number two, I think the first time you got 3 years, no, it was 5 years in prison. And then the second time, if you got caught a second and deported, then if you got caught a second time, it was, I believe, 10 years in prison. Didn't really say what happened after that. It's doubtful you'd make it through the first 5 years in a Mexican jail. So the wall, fence, or barrier is going up. Here is another way that he played them, because they thought they were digging their heels in for a fight that they have supported everything in this. Obama presented a $6.5 billion border security package that included money for barriers in places that they're needed, more boots on the ground, high tech stuff. What'd that get us? Nothing. We still have the problem. I understand we have 222 million or 22 million or 12 million, whatever the case may be, illegals in this country. Go through the right steps. You're welcome here. But here's another place that he's playing them is they go up on this government shutdown. Like I said, they thought they were digging their heels in, and they were really going to show him, first of all, if you're going to outsmart somebody, you have to be smarter than the person you're trying to outsmart. And that hasn't happened here, believe me. But they run right up to Christmas holiday. They shut her down. So finally, the Senate shuts it down. After Nancy had challenged Trump to put up a bill, she said, "You can't get it passed in the House." Well, he did. So anyway, the Senate ends up shutting down. McConnell drops the hammer and says, "We recess." That was it for Christmas or for the holidays or whatever it was. And they all went home. Trump stayed in D.C. Well, first of all, it's probably like Home Alone, the Christmas version. You don't want to leave him home alone. From what I understand, he signed a contract awarding 115 miles of fence to a contractor in Texas. Also, Nancy is the one that said we must pass the bill so we can read the bill. I would be willing to bet she's never read the Constitution. I really don't think. She may have read a few things, but I really don't think she has. Because there's different things, clauses, and then there's also Senate rules that they've put in because it seemed to be in their favor at the time. But I think it was Gowdy that warned them a few years ago. He said things can change. You may not always be in power. So anyway, there is a rule in place. I believe it's a rule that says that after 3 days, the president can appoint what they call recess appointees. Well, you know that the Democrats have refused to approve judges. The Judge Kavanaugh thing was the biggest fiasco I've ever seen in my life, and shameful right along. Judges, different department heads, and then they, people claim that he can't get nothing done. Well, he's got a lot done, considering he's had one hand tied behind his back. He's had to fight the Russian investigation with the other hand. And so he's done a pretty good job, I think, considering the odds that were against him. But now, since they've been in a recess, and they could have just kept a few members there and just kept talking and putting forth, I think Ted Cruz read Dr. Seuss one time, just to keep there from being a recess, because I guess they forgot about these recess appointments. So, yeah, that's how he played them. He is approving these. Now, let me tell you about a recess appointment. A recess appointment can stay in place for, I believe it's 1 year. So whatever judges, whatever department heads, whoever he puts in place, they have nothing to say about it until 1 year from now. And then they'll have to come up for another confirmation. Most confirmations, I believe maybe all confirmations, go through the Senate. Let's see, what is it, 53-47, the way it's standing right now? So it looks to me like a bunch of them will be confirmed. There's going to be other Supreme Court justices. As we know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, her health is not good, and it looks like she may probably have to retire. John Roberts, it looks like he's the one that appointed the FISA judges for the FISA courts. There's a whole lot of things going on there that I really don't want to try to get involved or try to talk about. It'll take 15 minutes. Look into it yourself. But yeah, I guess it's Trump's message to him, Happy New Year, because he did. He played them big. The wall's going up. And for people that the only last thing they have to grasp onto is the fact of, well, Trump said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. He did. But don't use Common Core math. Use common sense. Okay? If it costs us I've seen figures said $213 billion a year in welfare services, medical services, insurance claims, and then that's not even figuring the lives of the people that are taken. And you can argue it however you want, but if that person was not here illegally, then another American would have been alive. So you might want to look into it. But yeah, he played them. He played them like a vintage fiddle. I hope everyone has a good evening, and I look forward to 2019. And I hope we all have a very productive and prosperous new year. And I also hope that whoever, I don't care what side you're on, if they have committed crimes against this country, I want to see them punished. I want to see them punished swiftly. I want to see them punished justly, and I want to see it done quickly. Y'all have a good evening.